When does your spiritual journey begin? Well, to be honest with you, your spiritual journey may have already begun. Whenever I talk about my spiritual beginning, I usually start about 6 or 7 years ago when I was between jobs in San Francisco. And I decided to go to a meditation retreat in East California up in the mountains. Yet recently I've learned that my awakening probably happened a lot sooner than this. I'd like to share with you a story about how 12-year-old Blake's spiritual awakening looked like. In the middle of the United States, around northern Louisiana, is a region that is known as the Bible Belt. A place where the Bible, Jesus, Christianity, and football are essential pillars to everything that is faith, ethics, and spirit. Growing up with the story of Jesus, I was very convinced it was the only explanation. But as I grew up, the questions I had reached the limits of what Christianity could satisfy. What began as a fear of death and this idea of no longer existing was not confronted by this idea of eternal life. I'd lie in bed, unable to sleep, constantly affixed on this idea of death. I would wonder what it was like. I would wonder if it had to be something similar to what life was like before I was born. I would try to think to my earliest memory, and no matter how hard I try, the only thing I could really think of was nothing. The idea of darkness was the best image I could get to fill in the gap. I was motivated about this topic recently by watching a video called The 5 Stages of Spiritual Awakening by Regard Ray. She brings up the 5 stages of spiritual awakening as unconscious, ego death, the search, embracing the authentic self, and living in alignment. Explaining that these stages are not linear, that they can happen in different orders, they can happen at the same time for certain stages, and different stages can happen at different depths and different frequencies throughout one's life. When I was 12 years old having this existential crisis, I was scratching and clawing for answers, and I would talk to priests through varying denominations, and no matter what kind of answers I got, I was never really comforted by the answers that religion gave me. All the answers and responses just felt so artificial. In some capacity, I lost connection with my peer group as my deeply philosophical questions were met with some of the same staple answers that they had learned from their religious teachers. I'd feel guilt, judged, and denied that my confusion was my inability to understand all these truths that everybody else seemed to already be able to accept. While these questions can be daunting for an adult, they're really taxing for a child. Yet I'd continue to question and wonder these for many years to come. Things would start to stabilize around 8 years or so once I was in college. I'd find some peace or solace in knowing that my fear of mortality was not properly navigated by religion. Because while religion tried to provide me this idea that our human identity is immortal, I had to learn that the human identity isn't supposed to be immortal. My spirit is what's immortal, but my human identity is temporary. While there's a lot to unpack with Ray's video, one thing that it did teach me is that perhaps I've been on this spiritual journey way before that meditation retreat in the woods. But I never really acknowledged the complexities of all these questions and struggles I had in my childhood. I never really looked at them as the beginning of my spiritual awakening. And to be honest, I really thought of it as this migration from Christianity or religion into atheism. But over time, I realized that atheism didn't really answer my questions as much as Christianity or religion did. Either of the people that resonated with either of those ideologies on opposite sides of the pendulum both seem to be saying similar things. But what really makes sense to me over the years is that nobody has the answers, only ideas. I now understand that the spiritual journey is all about recognizing the ideas. It's with ideas that we can arrive at daily, in the present moment, in the now. The only thing that really exists. Thank you all for watching my video. I really appreciate it. Check out Ray's video in the description. And also, if you could leave a comment for me, I'd really like you to tell me what age you were that you think you started your spiritual journey. I'm real interested to hear and have a discussion about it. As always, please like, subscribe, and share my video, and I'll see you in the next one.